What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwicoach and give me 6 months of your time and I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to the channel. In this particular video, we're going to be reacting to part 2 of Bryson DeChambeau, How Do I Play Golf? This particular video, they're going to be going through a lesson with an amateur golfer who's pretty much a beginner golfer who's struggling with contact and doesn't really know how to shift their body or use ground reaction forces. So if you're one of those amateur golfers out there that struggles with contact, maybe duffs the ball, tops the ball, and you want to learn how to use your body, this is the perfect video for you, and let's go ahead and jump in. But before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Kiwi Golf Japan. If you did not know, YouTube does not pay the bills, so if you want to help support this YouTube channel, allow us to continue to make videos for you guys, after the video is over, there will be a link down below. Make sure to check out the Kiwi Platinum membership site. If you guys sign up, you're going to really help support this YouTube channel, and as well, get access to 320 plus videos. And we post roughly right around 25 videos every single month. So make sure to definitely go check that out. And let's get into Bryson DeChambeau, How Do I Play Golf? Okay, so if you guys didn't watch part 1, I actually also reacted to that. That's going to be on our YouTube channel. That should be either in the description or maybe somewhere around here. Part 2, the main emphasis is going to be this amateur golfer's kind of pivot, how he's using his center of gravity, where is he shifting it towards in certain sections of the golf swing, and trying to optimize it to get better at contact. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what they start to talk about.
Where that's positioned and how that affects the bottom of the arc. So for guys like Adam, turn around, he struggled really badly, I guess you could say, really badly with it last time, because he had all the right elements, the grip, the triangle, but he couldn't rotate. He was always sliding to the right. In order to get your weight and CG to a place where you get that arc moving in the correct way, okay, you gotta feel.
So let's stop it there. So in the last video, I definitely gave some criticism at the very end. If you guys are a member of our membership site, you guys probably saw that, where I felt like the major issue with Adam's golf swing was not necessarily how he was trying to pull the grip forward, but more so what he was doing with his pivot on the backswing. He was really shifting a lot of pressure towards the right, a lot of pressure on the outstep part of the heel. And then from there, the overall sternum shifted pretty far off the golf ball, and he couldn't really get back to the golf ball as he approached impact. So it seems like this particular video, they're going to be addressing it. So I'm glad to hear that. And let's go here kind of what they're going to be talking about. So Bryson's going to be focusing on kind of center of gravity, which is really kind of just, you know, where your sternum and kind of pelvis is situated throughout the backswing and downswing. And then from there, he's going to be talking about this concept of rotation and how to add it into the swing to be able to get the low point where we want it to be. So let's go for it.
I feel like you get more to your left-hand side. Okay, yeah, we have to hit down on it. We have to go through the ball, right? But how do you do that? He's trying to go through it, but his weight's over here, so he can never get to the ball. He's going to chunk or thin it. So for part 2, making sure that he's going on top of it and down and through it is very, very essential. So we're going to show you a little bit of how he was able to do this. There's the new bad hoodies.
Okay, let's stop it here. So before he gets into his promo, which I'll play a little bit for you guys, if you guys are interested in buying merchandise from him, there's about to be a promo. But kind of one of the main things they're going to be talking about when it talks about lower body rotation, it's not necessarily they're talking about the downswing to start this video. They're going to be mainly talking about the backswing. And specifically, I want you guys to really focus in on what they're talking about with pelvis sway, and then also kind of how the knee should be moving throughout the golf swing, because I think this is quite an interesting part and definitely something I would have worked on first as well when it comes to being able to move the pivot in a more efficient manner. However, I will also get into a little bit more of golf instructional, like is he actually teaching him the correct way? Is he giving him too much information? There'll be some interesting parts here, but let's help out DeChambeau here. Let's go a little bit into this promo, and then from there we'll skip ahead.
And bad sweatpants are now live. You can find the link in the description below. We're also going to pick 5 lucky winners randomly to get some signed memorabilia, some signed golf ball.
Okay, there's his apparel company. Let's get forward to the golf.
We're going to start learning about how the hips rotate. So that's going to affect CG. So if I slide to the right, all my weight's on my right-hand side, okay? If I slide to the left, all my weight's on my left-hand side. But I can also rotate on this. So I can rotate back and on this right side. You can be okay, but at a certain point in time, you got to get back over to where your weight's on your left-hand side.
So he's kind of going a little bit into matchups there. So he's saying, you know, the better players, there are some players who have a lateral shift off the golf ball with the pelvis and the sternum, a little bit more than maybe, let's say, DeChambeau. However, at a certain point on the backswing before they complete it, they're already starting to shift back laterally to the left. And by the time they get to right around position 5, you typically see their sternum has recentered to where it was at setup, or if anything, slightly ahead of it. And that's kind of the move that they do. DeChambeau is maybe a little bit different of a model. He kind of hangs a little bit more on the left side in the pivot, and then from there he pushes even further forward in the transition. And this is something he's recommending for most amateur golfers, specifically amateurs who are kind of struggling with what his friend is struggling with, which is kind of just shifting too far off the golf ball, right? So that's kind of what he's going over right there, a little bit of some matchups.
Tiger did it back in the day where he was more on his right-hand side, then he went to his left-hand side. But for you guys, I want you to feel like you're staying more on top of it and then moving to your left-hand side. Like there's a hill you're falling down. Like you're falling down a hill over to the left-hand side and then you're turning and pushing out of it.
So that's really important. So he's talking about feeling, right? So you're on a slope and you're trying to kind of fall down that slope, so allow gravity to kind of push you forward. But specifically mechanically speaking, and this is something we see a lot of people mess up when they try to shift laterally, is we don't really necessarily want to see the upper body be the only part of the body shifting laterally, and we don't want to see the lower body being the only part shifting laterally. We kind of want to see the upper body and the lower body, wherever it was positioned at the top, kind of separation between the two. We want to keep that separation. We don't want to increase it or decrease it, and we kind of just want to shift the sternum and the pelvis together laterally in transition. And a great feeling is kind of what he just described there, right? Imagine you're on that side of that slope or on kind of a little bit of a down slope. Have that feeling of gravity kind of pushing you forward. That'll get the sternum and the pelvis to move more so together, as opposed to maybe just sliding the hips forward or sliding the upper body forward. That's a really good advice right there.
When you're turning back, the right knee needs to straighten, and it has to look almost like it's angled back. If it's straight over it, that's no good. It means your weight's going to be too far on your right-hand side.
When he says it has to, this is not necessarily something you have to do. It's more so kind of his model of swing. He's teaching them almost essentially a stack and tilt, where you're trying to keep the pressure more so loaded on the left side more than you would with like a normal golf swing. But in the model of swing that he's trying to teach, which again I think is a great model for people who really struggle with contact, you want to see that trail leg pretty extended there, not hyper extended, right, where the joints lock, but relatively much more extended than you would see like a traditional model of swing. That's something that's very important, and that's just going to make sure that the center of gravity is what he's calling it, right? The sternum is not shifting too far off the golf ball or away from the target towards the top of the swing. This is good for someone who's swaying.
So turning over the top of it, getting to your left-hand side, and then pushing through to your left. Added with the chest rotation, right? It's going to look as such.
And we've done a lot of videos on this, and one of the videos we did recently I think was called Dr. Kwan's Shift and Churn, or the Churn, where basically you're trying to get that lateral shift in transition first before you start to rotate. He didn't really quite distinguish that, but I think that's what he currently means is, get the lateral shift at the right timing relative to what pivot you're using. And then from there, you want to start adding the churn at a certain point. So with DeChambeau, he's a little bit more on that stack and tilt model where top of swing, maybe he already has like 50% of the pressure on the left foot at the top of swing, maybe even a little bit more. And then he's shifting even further forward. Maybe for him, he wants to have the rotation a little bit later than someone who's going to be doing a little bit more of that Tiger Woods model that he talked about before. So again, whenever you're heavily already on that lead side, if you start to rotate early, let's say if you start to rotate towards the top of the swing and you get more towards that early rotated model, you already have pressure on the left side quite a lot, quite early, and you're starting to open up and rotate a lot early. Yeah, you're probably going to shift the low point more ahead, but you'll probably shift it so far ahead you're going to miss the golf ball unless you do some type of crazy tilt to hit the ball. So it wouldn't be something you'd want to do. So again, that's just something I think you guys should think about if you're trying to do a model similar to this.
Let's see what Adam has now. Take what you learned over in the bunker, right?
Yeah, Bryson had me. He was literally pushing me this way in my backswing. He's back there and he pushed me forward.
So take it back and stay on your left-hand side. Just try and feel like your weight is over in this area.
So
yes.
I'm here.
Yes.
Before I was like,
yes, exactly. That's no good. That's called a sway.
Yep, common swayer.
No bueno.
Obviously at first this is a very foreign feeling.
Yep.
It was the only way I was able to get down on it.
Yep.
It was literally the only way.
So let's hit a couple. Let's see what you got. Whoa.
That was clean.
That was really good. But you still slid.
I still slid a little bit and I still chunked it just a tad.
Okay, let's stop it here. So there's a few things that are a little bit off with this person's pivot, and this is obviously P5, so it's not really quite the top of swing. So one of the things that I definitely noticed was this trail hip right here, still, even when he's trying to kind of push that pressure forward really early, is still kind of moving laterally quite a lot this way, which is kind of tilting the overall pelvis towards left pelvic tilt quite a lot, quite early. And then from there, we're seeing the upper body almost having a little bit of a reverse pivot, so the sternum kind of moving more so this way as the pelvis is more so going this way. then what we're tending to find with this particular player when he does that is we're going to see in transition the sternum starts to move almost this way, where the pelvis is now moving kind of up this way and then forward. So that means he's probably going to move towards right side lateral bend quite early, kind of get stuck, and then it's going to be difficult for him to get that low point where he wants it ahead of the golf ball. So this is something I think they're going to be working on when Bryson starts to support his knee action, trying to get the pelvis a little bit more leveler at the top. We don't want it level. We still want left pelvic tilt for sure, but we want it less tilted than he currently is. And then hopefully in turn, if you get the pelvis better, maybe we're going to see the sternum not tilt so far this way and a little bit more centered and a little bit behind the pelvis, if anything. So let's go jump ahead to that part where they start doing that.
Still not rotating enough, so let me help you.
Okay, so we have Bryson here supporting him, so let me kind of walk through what he's currently doing. So I think the main support is probably going to be in his right hand, Bryson's right hand right here on this player's trail hip. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to take this trail hip and he's trying to move it kind of towards Bryson as well as more so this way, almost kind of parallel to the target line. All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube, but before you guys click off, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So first and foremost, if you guys enjoyed Bryson DeChambeau, you guys speak English and want to watch his channel, we'll have it linked down below so you can watch this full video series. My personal takeaway points from this particular series was I was glad they actually started to address kind of that reverse pivot or that slide that he was doing on the backswing, because in the first video they didn't really necessarily go over that, and I thought that was a big important part when it comes to the contact for this particular player. So review, this particular player, the pelvis was actually sliding this way as it tilted quite a lot, and the upper body, if anything, was actually going the opposite direction of the pelvis, right? So that classic kind of hip slide reverse pivot, one of the most difficult pivots to hit the golf ball. Typically in transition, you'll find that the pelvis will now slide the opposite way and then start to raise the left side as the sternum starts to tilt back the opposite way. For the most part, that tends to shift low point behind the ball. You're probably going to duff it a lot. You're going to get stuck. You're actually probably going to get some back pain as well if you do that for a long period of time. It's really difficult at the ball. So focusing on that trail hip, like they talked about in this video, as well as the lead knee was definitely the key points. If you want to watch the full video of this, we do have it on the membership site, so definitely make sure to sign up for the Kiwi Platinum membership site, support this channel, watch this full video, as well as all the other videos on the membership site. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.